Our reading this morning comes from Matthew chapter 13. Then the disciples came and asked him, "Why do you speak to them in parables?" He answered, "To you it has been given to know the secrets of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it has not been given. For to those who have, more will be given, and they will have an abundance. But from those who have nothing, even what they have will be taken away. The reason I speak to them in parables is that seeing they do not perceive, and hearing they do not listen, nor do they understand. With them indeed is fulfilled the prophecy of Isaiah that says, 'You will indeed listen, but never understand, and you will indeed look, but never perceive. For this people's heart has grown dull, and their ears are hard of hearing, and they have shut their eyes so that they might not look with their eyes and hear with their ears and understand with their heart and turn, and I would heal them. But blessed are your eyes, for they see, and your ears, for they hear. Truly I tell you, many prophets and righteous people long to see what you see, but did not see, and to hear what you hear, but did not hear it.'" Let us think about the meaning for each of us from those scriptures as we listen to the rain stick. And as Joan plays, you may place your offerings on the piano and also light a candle for your concerns, your discoveries, your joys. It is now time to share, if you wish, any of those joys or concerns, discoveries from this past week. Would anyone like to share? I'll bring you the mic.
I have a joy. Last week was my daughter Heather's birthday. She's my second daughter. And I got a package. And she said, Mom, you're going to get it. She warned me I was going to get a package. And I thought, well, that's strange. It's her birthday. So anyway, she sent me flowers. She said, it's because you did all the work.
How wonderful. Anyone else?
Yes, I'd like prayers for my sister-in-law, Sharon. She's having a hard time dealing with the death of my brother, and Friday was his birthday, so it's really hard for her.
I think we should all keep in mind the plight of the Haitian immigrants in Ohio. They've got enough to worry about. They fled unspeakable horrors, and they're making a good life for themselves, and they deserve love and support and prayers for all immigrants everywhere.
Our beloved June Godey, Pastor Emerita here, is ill again. Sorry to say, a recurrence. So bad news. Anyway, hard thing. So let us send her messages, yes? Scribble on here, send your wishes, and we'll send it to her up north. So pass around.
I have a joy. I'll start with the joy, because there's a lot of other stuff that's not. But my nephew is getting married next Saturday outside of Denver, and we are crossing our fingers that the entire family, minus my sister with ALS, will be able to be there and celebrate together, which is really important right now in our lives. Family going through, I've been ill. As you know, you haven't seen me much, but I'm with the right doctor and meds and things. I'm slowly getting better and better. But I found out Monday that my brother has colon cancer. And his wife is the one with ALS. I did her mother's funeral 2 years ago. She was the matriarch of the family and beloved by all. Her brother, 2 months later, died in a terrible accident, car crash. So a lot hanging heavy on the family right now. And we are, my brother meets with the surgeon on Monday. Please, his name is Rob. Please keep him and his family in your prayers. We are praying that the surgery won't happen before the wedding so that we can all gather for something celebratory before going through this next phase of whatever it brings, because we have no idea. So please keep everyone in our prayers.
One more thing, just a prayer for everybody who has decided that instead of worrying about what happens on November 5th, is doing something about it. And that's a lot of us and a lot of others. And let us celebrate those who are taking action to shape history instead of just gnash our teeth and wail and complain about it. So, I'm sorry? Exactly. So prayers of thanksgiving for those who take action at a time like this.
Along that line, I work and did at the last election, I write letters through Vote Forward. If you haven't heard from them, the letters go out to the swing states and places that are needed. It's easy to do. You can find out all about it online. I'm starting my 200 letters this week, and I may add to that. And so I highly encourage you to do that because they're good. They really help. And I thank Jim for our common prayer today, which I wrote. The light of God surrounds me, guiding me on my path. It opens my eyes to wonder as the world around me bursts into color. It fills me with joy and awe at the beauty of God's creation. Leaves shimmer and dance in the breeze as the light of God shines on them. The rocks above grace the skyline. The light dances on the water as it cascades down the mountain. The light of God surrounds me as birds soar overhead and ground squirrels scamper across my path. I see that all nature is filled with God's light. It is part of everything. The light of God allows all the worries and cares I carry with me to fall away as I rest in the present moment, at one with nature and God. The light of God surrounds us all. Open our eyes to see and give thanks.
Mira
We take time now to see, not just with our eyes open. Maybe you've heard about people who were born blind or were blind for a very long time and then suddenly, through medical miracles, are able to see again, or at least have their eyes function again. But then, that doesn't mean that they see, right? They have to learn to see, either for the first time or again. It's just a jumble and a haze and a bunch of information coming into the brain that they have no idea how to process, right? So you have to learn to see. Children have to learn to see. We have to learn to see, even if we've been, quote unquote, seeing all along. So in contemplatio now, let us learn to see at a different level. Learn to see with our eyes closed, yes? To see deeper, to go farther in sight, in insight, by attending to that which we sense physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, attending to our experiences in silence, knowing that as we do so, we can see that we are seen. Back in the 1930s, there was a kid at Hollywood High School, LA, by the name of Everett Ruess, R-U-E-S-S, teenager. And someone got him out backpacking, horsepacking in the Sierra. And that was it for this boy. That was all it took. He was hooked. All he wanted to do was get out into the wilderness and be out there as much as he possibly could. He was also an artist, a quite accomplished woodcut artist. Got started with that at Hollywood High. Came from an artistic family, so he had a head start that way. So he would spend extended periods in wilderness as a kid. You know, unimaginable that parents today would, it's like, what? Let this kid go with a burro into the Escalante wilderness of Utah for months at a time by himself, but that's what he did. He would hitchhike out on, you know, funky cars on rutted roads out into the boonies of the Navajo reservation and just go into the boonies and you know, had a puppy and a bag of flour and some basic provisions thrown over into the panniers of a burro, and off he went. And he wrote letters back to his family, and they are gorgeous, the most beautiful letters, with illustrations also. What a remarkable legacy this young man left. Because when he was 20 years old, he did another of his epic hikes, went down into the Escalante, down the narrow slot canyons, down, and was never seen again, disappeared. The only trace of him was an inscription on a rock wall in one of the canyons that a backpacker discovered that said Nemo, chipped out of the rock, Nemo, which means nobody in Latin. He had merged and become one with the beauty that he saw. And in his letters, here's a couple lines from his letters. I have constantly known beauty so piercing as to be almost unbearable. Isn't that good? I have known beauty so piercing as to be almost unbearable. Oh, I don't know about you. Anybody experienced that? I certainly have out in the wilderness. In the same country that he wandered, I've had that experience. I have loved the red rocks, the twisted trees, the red sand blowing in the wind, the slow, sunny clouds crossing the sky, the shafts of moonlight on my bed at night. I have seemed to be at one with the world. I have rejoiced to set out to be going somewhere, and I have felt a still sublimity, looking deep into the coals of my campfires and seeing far beyond them. Oh, isn't that good? Isn't that good? That youngster packed a lot of life into a very short couple of years. Seeing far beyond the embers into which he stared. That's our challenge today, is to look into the artwork that's on the walls and see beyond them, to let them draw us in and draw us out, to be at one with the world through the portals of these artworks today. Here's a quote from Bronowski, who was a philosopher of science and a mathematician, and his wise words about this topic. The discoveries of science, the works of art, are explorations. More are explosions of a hidden likeness. The discoverer or the artist presents in them two aspects of nature and fuses them into one. This is the act of creation, in which an original thought is born, and it is the same act in original science and in original art. There's artistry and science. There's science and artistry. There's a connection there that's very profound. This view alone gives a meaning to the act of appreciation. For the appreciator must see the movement, wake to the echo that was started in the creation of the work. In the moment of appreciation, we live again the moment when the Creator saw or held the hidden likeness. We recreate the creative act, and we ourselves make the discovery again. So appreciating a work of art, to go deep, to see into it and beyond it even, is to reenact the creation of that artwork. Art appreciation is art. It is art. It's the same act, yes? It's a reenactment of the creative act of the artist. You participate in the creation of that work of art, whatever it is. You're part of that process. You're the artist too by appreciating the art. This line I love is from Chesterton, beloved writer, turn of the century, 19th, 20th. This line is great. A traveler sees what he sees. A tourist sees what he came to see. Oh, ho, ho, ho. We could have a whole discussion about that at coffee hour. Talk about that around the tables with your cookies and coffee. A traveler sees what he sees. A tourist sees what he came to see. The challenge for us in appreciating art, contemplating it, is to see what we see and to be open to whatever that is, which may very much surprise us, even if it's a familiar work of art or something that looks like, yeah, okay. See what you see. Let go of seeing what you came to see. Just let go of seeing what you expect to see or assume that you're going to see. Doctorow, the author, the novelist, he said, creativity is like driving a car at night. You never see further than your headlights, but you can make the whole trip that way. Isn't that great? You know, creative people don't know where they're going. They can't see the finished product. They might have some idea, but very often not. Yeah? They're discovering the final product as they make it. It's not finished in their minds or in their imaginations. Very often that's the case. But they've got headlights, right? They're seeing something, and they're making what they're seeing. Very often, the things that they didn't expect to make, the things they didn't expect to see. Madeleine L'Engle, beloved writer of children's literature, yes, and a deep Christian person, Episcopal person. Progressive Christian, really. She wrote this in her book called Walking on Water, which was a meditation on art and spirituality. Very deep book. The artist who is a Christian, like any other Christian, is required to be in this world, but not of it. We are to be in this world as healers, listeners, servants. In art, we are once again able to do all the things we have forgotten. We're able to walk on water. We speak to the angels who call us. We move unfettered among the stars. We write, we make music, we draw pictures because we're listening for meaning, feeling for healing. And during the writing of the story or the painting or the composing or the singing and playing, we are returned to that open creativity which was ours when we were children. We cannot be mature artists if we have lost the ability to believe, which we had as children. An artist at work is in a condition of complete and total faith. Again, as St. Paul said, hope that is seen is not hope. Right? Faith that is seen, that is expected, is not really faith at all. And now from the Tao Te Ching. Wise words that can guide us as we appreciate art today. Colors blind the eye, sounds deafen the ear. Flavors numb the taste, thoughts weaken the mind, desires wither the heart. The master observes the world, but trusts his inner vision. He allows things to come and go. His heart is open to the sky. Again, so much of what we're doing with our eyes is basically using them as projectors, right? There's a movie playing in your head, and it shines through your eyes onto whatever you're looking at. But it's your movie that you're projecting. And then you're seeing what you expect to see, what you feel comfortable seeing, right? But the Tao Te Ching is inviting us to recognize that blinds us to so much of what's going on in the world around us. Elizabeth Barrett Browning, remember this line, "Earth's crammed with heaven, and every common bush afire with God." Well, do we have the eyes to see that? Yeah? Are we awake to the heaven that is crammed into everything, every little obscure and otherwise seemingly unimportant or boring thing? Are we open to that? Can we see the fire in every common bush or weed, right? We got a lot of those here at this church. Maybe we should all go out in the back and stare at the weeds too today. See if they're afire with God. This is from 14th century Dutch mystic, Christian mystic, John Ruysbroek. He said, "We behold that which we are, and we are that which we behold." We behold that which we are, and we are that which we behold. So if we want to be something or somebody beyond just our, physical, egoic, personality selves, then we need to behold the fire in every common bush. We need to see that the earth is crammed with heaven. It relates to a quote my line that I've used in many contexts. You are the beauty that you see. You are the beauty that you see. In a culture that is obsessed with beauty, personal beauty, our own physical beauty or lack thereof in our minds, it helps to think this thought, does it not? We are not the beauty that other people see. We are the beauty that we see, right? That is what defines us and makes us divine in our seeing. Antonio Porcia, he was a Argentine poet, a working man, right? A proletarian, if you will, who wrote poetry, much of it in the form of proverbs, very pithy, wonderful proverbs that he wrote in Spanish. One of his lines was, "We see by means of something which illumines us, which we do not see." Let that one sink in. We see by means of something that illumines us, which we do not see. Yeah? So there's a light within that enables us to see deeply into the world. And by tapping into that light within, we can see more. We can see every common bush afire with God. Ralph Waldo Emerson, he said, "Imagination is a very high sort of seeing which does not come by study, but by the intellect being where and what it sees." Ooh, that's deep. Yeah. Can you be where and what you're looking at? be fully present with it. You ever have this experience? The Greek term for it is ecstasy, ekstasis, out of your state, right? You're so deep into seeing deeply into things that you're not there anymore, you know? I just think of my grandson Jake staring at water. He loved, when he was very young, he was mesmerized by water. And he would just stare at a swimming pool like that. Wah, 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 wah. He was the water, right? He became the water. His intellect, his being was one with what he was gazing at, yeah? That's a high sort of seeing. And again, it's not something you get to by studying things, but by fully engaging and participating in it. Barbara McClintock, very famous biologist, she studied corn for her whole life because the genetics of corn, very interesting. It's an unusual plant. And she talked about this. She says, I am totally into corn. Not just as a subject matter for study, but she was in love with corn. She stared at corn. She was lost herself. She went into ecstasis with corn. And that ecstasis is what enabled her to think creatively in scientific exploration about the genetics of corn. Art. Another line from Portia. He said, I know what I have given you. I do not know what you have received. Isn't that good? I know what I have given you, but I don't know what you've received. I think we all experience this when we give presents to children, right? You should like this, right? Surely you will like this. Well, maybe not, you know? Maybe, and maybe the purpose to which a small child is going to put the gift that you gave them is completely different than the purpose to which you intended it to be given. You know what you have given the child, but you don't know what the child has received. Yeah? True of every gift that we give. True of art. You know, I can make a work of art, and I think I know what I have presented to you. But what you make of it, how you experience it, that's your art, right? Your artistic contribution is your experience of it, your participation in it, in your own creative seeing. There's more wisdom here about art. This comes from Monet, the great artist. And it's just a hint about how we can look at the art around us today. It says, for me, a landscape does not exist in its own right since its appearance changes at every moment. But the surrounding atmosphere brings it to life. The light and the air, which vary continually. For me, it is only the surrounding atmosphere which gives subjects their true value. So you paint, you know, a woman lying in the grass, that's the subject. And you might title it, you know, Woman Lying in the Grass. Meanwhile, Monet says what really gives that picture the value is not the woman on the grass, it's the environment around, the periphery around the subject that really makes it pop and brings it alive. Arthur Zients, he's a physicist at Dartmouth, and I got to meet the guy. He's kind of the granddaddy of contemplative pedagogy. That's the use of meditative methods in teaching, a really profound man. And he had deep things to say about this sort of subject. He said, sometimes far more interesting and intelligent things happen if we drop the attempt to plan everything centrally and become attentive instead to the periphery. Everything around. what you're supposedly focusing on. Other people may have something to offer me. They also have ideas and intentions, after all. The next time you step into a meeting, turn to others. Attend to them first, asking what the world has in store for you. The teachings of Socrates and Jesus seem almost exclusively to occur in response to sudden chance meetings or events. All the great sages seem to have been peripheral planners, not central planners. Yeah? Look at open yourself to looking at the periphery. What's on the edges? What's around? What's the atmosphere around something? And see what happens. It's a way of seeing. So the Christ invites us to see and to go deeper with seeing and to see into things and through things and beyond things, to use what we see to make them into windows. Each one of these works of art around us is a window into an experience. The experience of the artist, but also the experience of you as an artist, an artistic appreciator of the art. So today, let us enjoy this process of creativity that comes from seeing deeply. Amen.
Morning has broken like the first morning. Blackbird has spoken like the first bird. Praise for the singing, praise for the morning, praise for them springing fresh from the world. Sweet the rain now fall late from heaven, like the first dew fall on the first grass. Praise for the sweetness of the wet garden, sprung in completeness where his feet pass. Mine is the sunlight, mine is the morning, Lord of the one light, Eden saw play. Praise with elation, praise every morning, God's great creation of the new day. Join us in the circle.
Let's stay in a circle for just a minute. We're going to get one thing, and we'll get started.